Topics we will cover throughout this tutorial include unboxing, stand assembly, blade holder setup, material loading, software installation, and sending your first cut. Unboxing and setting up your new SC Series vinyl cutter is relatively easy and can be completed in about 45 minutes. Take note of any important document packages or advisory labels on the outside. Dust cover and stand components will be packed on and around the cutter in styrofoam molds. Let's take those parts out and set them aside. The stand components you will see first are two stand legs, two metal feet, two material roller bars, and four plastic wheels. Now remove the cutter and the accessories box. You'll find the crossbeam for your stand under the cutter. The accessories box will contain your serial cable, power cable, USB cable, material roller brackets, cutter mounting brackets, and your stand screws. All of the necessary drivers and user's manuals for your equipment can also be found on your USCutter installation disk, as well as at the start.uscutter.com website. Now that we've inventoried the cutter and accessories box, let's assemble the stand. Start by attaching the plastic wheels to the square metal feet. You'll likely need a pair of pliers or a wrench for this task. Once you've got all four plastic wheels screwed in, secure a metal foot to the bottom of the stand leg with 4 screws. And then again on the other side. Next, we'll attach the crossbeam. Crossbeam has a rounded side and a square side. Face the square side of the crossbeam towards the 2 small roller bracket holes on the stand leg. We found that starting a screw on the screwdriver first and using the empty accessories box for support worked well for this task, but don't be afraid to get a second pair of hands to help you out. Again, the flat side of the crossbeam should be facing the 2 small material roller bracket holes. Now for the roller bar brackets. Start by hand threading the small screws into the material bracket holes on the inside of the stand leg. Be sure that the plastic part of the brackets are in line with the stand legs. Once the brackets are on, you can tighten them up with your drill or screwdriver. Next, we'll attach the Z-shaped cutter mounting brackets. These will be attached with 4 screws and should appear as though they're stepping up towards each other. Start by hand tightening the screws into place and then sink them securely once the brackets are on. Before we can mount the cutter, we'll need to remove all 4 plastic feet. Carefully set the cutter on its back, and using your drill or screwdriver, take the feet off. Carefully set the cutter on the stand, then reattach the cutter's feet through the holes in the mounting brackets. If your cutter came with a 3-pack of blades, Open the blade pack and remove a blade from the foam packing material. Then remove the red rubber protective cap. The red caps indicate a 45-degree blade, while the blue caps indicate a 60-degree blade. Be careful when handling the blade, as the cutting end is very sharp. Insert the cone-shaped end of the blade into the blade holder. The silver plunger on the end of the blade holder is meant only for removing the blade, so that you don't have to constantly readjust its depth. The ballpark length of blade that you'll want exposed will be equal to half the thickness of a credit card. Hold the blade edgewise against the side of your card. If the tip of the blade goes past or reaches the other side of the card as pictured, then you have too much blade. Note, this method is an approximation. Now let's test the depth of the blade. In this first method, you'll need some vinyl material. Holding the blade holder straight up and down, cut a circle. Our goal is to only cut the vinyl material without cutting into the backing. Looks like we have too much blade. Loosen the copper set screw on the blade holder. Reduce the amount of blade showing by a quarter or half turn. Then tighten the set screw back up again. This test looks good, but as we'll see, the blade is still cutting too deep into the backing. That can dull our blade and make weeding difficult. Conversely, if the blade is set too shallow, the vinyl will be difficult to weed and can cause the material to tear. With just a bit of trial and error, you'll have the blade set to just the right depth. In this next method, like before, now let's put our blade holder into our carriage and load some material. Loosen the copper thumb screw to the left of the carriage. Then insert your blade holder. Make sure that the metal ring around the outside of the blade holder is placed inside the carriage arm. Then tighten up the thumb screw. Before we can load our vinyl, let's take a look at our pinch rollers and where they need to go. Lift the pinch roller levers to the up position and slide them so they will be evenly spaced across the vinyl. The white sticker in the center means that you cannot place a pinch roller there, because there's no feed roller underneath it. To set the pinch rollers down onto the material, simply lower the pinch roller levers in the back of the cutter. If your cutter came with a stand, place some vinyl on the bars. Then load it into the back of the cutter. Ensure you're loading the material squarely. Use the ruler lines in the front and back of the machine. Line up the edge of the material with the corresponding mark, first in the front, then in the back. Once you have them both lined up, lower the pinch rollers. With the cutter's power cable plugged in, turn the cutter on. The carriage will automatically move from left to right and stop at its default home origin. The home origin is where the cutter will begin when it starts each cut, and it will move from right to left across the material. To maximize the use of your vinyl, you can change where the cutter begins cutting by putting it into jog mode. Press the Enter button with the cursor on local. Use the left and right arrows to move the carriage, and the up and down arrows to move the feed rollers. Press the Select button to move the cursor to the word Current, then press Enter. This sets that current position as the cutter's home origin. Changing the cutter's speed and force, or pressure, is even easier. At the home screen, with local test and copy displayed, use the up and down arrows to change the speed, and the left and right arrows to change the force. The typical cut speed will be about 500, and the typical cut pressure should be 100.